YouTube. I am in Jamaica. Where are you? United States? UK? This is inside the airport. I guess this is just a lookout area. They paged me to come to the gate, so I'm headed to the gate. I have no idea if you can hear me. Probably just want to do a document verification. So yeah, but we're not actually supposed to be boarding yet, so no idea. We'll see. Train to Concourse B. So now I am just headed to Whole Foods. I got home less than 5 minutes ago, dropped my bag, put the sweater on, and I'm headed to the store. I don't have anything to eat. I feel like all I've done is eat and sit all day, but it's time to eat again. Last time I ate was 4.5 to 5 hours ago. I'm going to get some dinner, meal prep, and then hop on my work computer to get some stuff done for my job. Yeah, that will pretty much be the end of the night. Yeah, nothing exciting really. Back from Whole Foods, quick grocery store haul. Tempura shrimp, flowers, plantain chips, a bell pepper, cookies, golden berries. I don't know what they are, but I felt like they might taste good, so I'm gonna try these out. Bring some variety to my diet. A protein bar, because I always feel like I need to have at least one like on the go in case I'm running late. Eggs. I got a pizza, pine berries, strawberries that are like this pink, light pink color instead of the regular red ones. Yogurt. This yogurt is non-dairy. Fun fact, I'm new to yogurt in adulthood. I think I only started eating it maybe about 1.5 to 2 years ago. Ice cream, pineapples, Olipop. This is my favorite flavor. Some salmon. I am a board certified family medicine physician. I realized I've been making these YouTube videos for the last year, and I actually haven't said how I got into medicine. How did I get here? So first thing I did after high school is I applied to university and finished my 4-year bachelor's degree. I got a bachelor's of science in computational mathematics and biology for health sciences. I'll be honest with you, I actually did better in my university level math credits than I did in my biology credits. I think it was because I didn't know how to study for those courses. For math, it was easy for me because I'm a very hands-on person. With math, I just needed to do the problems over and over and over again and in different ways to figure out how to, speak the language of mathematics or calculus or statistics or that kind of thing. Like doing the problems over and over and over again helped me to feel more confident once I was able to figure it out or beat the challenge. With biology, it was very different. It's a lot of memorization, just root memorization of like where things are in the body or how different cycles work. I couldn't make the switch very easily because I actually enjoyed the math studying more. I liked learning about biology, but it's the committing it to memory that I had a hard time figuring out how to do. I then applied to med school. Backtrack. In my last year of university, I knew I wanted to go to med school, but I wasn't quite sure how to get there because there's the option of taking the MCATs, which I didn't want to do because the course was a lot of money that I did not have, and I didn't also want to delay another year in like saving up for the course, applying for a prep course, then doing the time to study and all of that. So I instead applied to a bunch of postgraduate programs, and I didn't get into any of them. I think I got into like 3 of the 12 that I applied to, and I got waitlisted for a few of them. And I'll be really honest, none of those programs were programs I actually wanted to get into. And I think a lot of people fall into this same trap. You want to go to a certain school or into a certain program because you want to do a certain type of thing. Because you're not sure if you're going to get there, you just, let me have like this backup plan, and you end up kind of stuck. I will say everything does happen for a reason. In the end, a friend of mine told me about, international medical schools in the Caribbean. And at the time, I didn't know anything about it. I'll be really honest. I was like, okay, it's a med school. It's a US school. It just so happens to be in the Caribbean for the first couple of years. Why not? Let me apply. I probably won't get in because at this point I had been rejected from 9 or 10 other programs for things that I was already qualified for. But it's just the list of applicants was so high. So I already had this dejected attitude going in, but I threw in my application fee, forgot about it. I literally applied so late in the season that I was like, they're not even going to take this application seriously anyway because the semester starts in about 6 weeks. So just working my little summer job, and then tell me why 2 to 3 weeks later, I got an email saying that I got into the pre-med course. When I opened the email and read it, I was kind of confused. I was like, what is this pre-med course? What is this school? Like I had forgot, that's how much I forgot about it. And they were like, you have until the end of the day to reply to the email to say that whether you're interested or not, because you're so close to the semester start date. So of course I was like, whatever, this has been my dream since I was a kid, so let me apply and do the interview. I did the interview like the very next day. I didn't even really tell my parents about it. Like I think I mentioned it to my parents the day I got the email that I had applied to a medical school. So I did the interview. I remember the lady was super nice, and she basically said, okay, we're gonna talk to whomever I have to talk to about it because I'm from recruitment and let you know. And then literally a day or 2 later, she's like, you got in, you need to be here on the island within the next 2.5 weeks. Now, that sounds great, right? 2.5 weeks. That means I had to move my entire life from Toronto, Canada, or from Mississauga, Canada, to St. Kitts. Okay, and I'll be really honest with you, I only had 2.5 weeks. I didn't have funding because, again, I didn't tell my parents. I didn't think I was going to get in. I didn't look into any of it. The getting into medical school, I will be very honest with you, was the most lackadaisical, carefree thing I'm ever doing in my life. Like, I have never been less methodical about something in my life, and I have not been since then either. But literally, I was just like, because I really thought, like, this is a scam. I'm not gonna get in. It's $75, whatever. Like, who cares? So I ended up telling my parents. We ended up scrounging things together. My church helped me out. So I'm so grateful to all the people, even behind the scenes, that my parents did not tell me about, who managed to make that happen. But they made it happen, and I am so grateful to my village for that. But yeah, so I went, I booked a plane ticket, I got there, and I stayed in this hotel while I was there because I didn't have time to like look for, actual housing or anything. I did my pre-med course, and you had to get a certain grade average to finish. And now this pre-med course was pretty intense. I'm not going to lie to you. It's everything that I did in undergrad for prerequisites to get into med school, plus some other like med school courses during the pre-med, like 4-month semester. And you had to finish with like, I think it was an 85% average or something. I managed to get the average, which was great. I was so proud of myself. And that means now I was in medical school. So I finished medical school in 4 years. Within that time, I took my step 1 and step 2, as well as my step 2 CK exams. And I can go into more detail about the exams and all of that later. And then once I did that, I was moving around, different states, doing different rotations at different hospitals in the US while I was taking these exams. And then I ended up graduating. I had a lot of test anxiety. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to make this journey seem like it was all peachy, easy. It wasn't. Not for me. I just had so much fear about whether I would fail. And I feel like that was such a self-sabotaging moment because I built up so much on this test. And I'll be honest with you, that was not unique to medical school. Like, that was something that I have been doing arguably my entire life. Like, I remember when I was a kid growing up in Jamaica in the 6th grade, we have to take something called Common Entrance or GSAT. And I think that's what it's called. That feels like ages ago now. But I had to take that to, get into high school, and it determines which high schools you'll go to. And I remember having so much anxiety, like not being able to sleep, vomiting from anxiety, like that. When I'm anxious, my body has a physical reaction of like insomnia, nausea, vomiting, lack of appetite, weight loss, like it's just a whole thing. So when this started happening to me in medical school, it was strange because it was a feeling that I had not had in a very long time. So yeah, it was happening, and it was really affecting my ability to perform well. I couldn't get a grip on it. Like, I just kept building up this, if I don't pass, then this, and then this, and then this, and then I'll never be. It was just this snowball effect of negative thoughts. Eventually, I passed all those tests, but because I was so nervous, I kind of delayed taking my step 2 CK. I delayed taking my step 2. So it put me off cycle for applying to the match for my graduation year. So what I ended up doing was graduating medical school and then taking a gap year. Now, I would not advise doing it that way. If I could go back, that's one thing I would change. Like people say, don't live your life with regrets. Everything happens for a reason. I would have changed this. Like hindsight is 2020 for a reason. So I would have instead delayed a couple of the rotations that I took and had myself graduate in the year that I was actually going to apply to the match, because your chances of getting weaned out by more programs automatically change when you are applying after your graduation year. It's like a lot of programs just have it built into their like computer weaning out process. If you are applying as a post-grad applicant for med school, they don't even look at your application, which sucked for me because yes, my grades weren't amazing in terms of my exams because of all of my anxiety, but I had never failed a test. I had improvement on each test score. I was, I had done research, I had done all these other things. So there were a lot of things that were great for my application that no one saw because they didn't even take a look at it because I got weaned out because I was a graduate. So that is something I would change, and that's a piece of advice I would give to anyone who's applying off cycle. I ended up only interviewing with one program, and that was because that program I actually rotated at that hospital before and put in a lot of FaceTime with that program before leaving or before graduating. And the attendings there remembered me and wanted to interview me. So I ended up getting offered an interview with that one program because they were the only ones who actually knew me and sought out my application. So thank God for that. Everything happens for a reason. And another thing I would change too, I was very shy. Shyness, for a lot of reasons, I will never criticize because you have the right to do what is innately natural to you. However, it can sometimes work against you in medicine because your ability to work the room or allow people to get to know you and make an impression amongst, all the other medical students or residents or interns that are all rotating with you on that medical team or that medical rotation, is your interview process initially outside of the official interview process with these programs. And that is something I did not understand. I didn't have a lot of family members in medicine. I didn't know a lot of people who had done this before. I was kind of the first of my family in a lot of ways. So I learned a lot, and I learned a lot about myself. And I was starting to internalize the fact that I was such a shy person and I couldn't, people couldn't hear me on these rotations because I didn't speak up enough. I wasn't confident enough to represent myself well in the room. And so that started to eat at me, and it worked against me because I didn't get noticed. There were a lot of times where a lot of my attendings didn't even know who I was until the very last day of the rotation when I went to them and asked them to sign off on the fact that I had been there and I completed all the requirements for the rotation. That's one thing I would change as well. I would attempt to be more confident and to be more outgoing, or at least to strike up more conversation, speak up more, that kind of thing. And then the third thing that I would change is some of the hospitals that I picked. So my school was very, specific about telling us make sure you go to IMG friendly hospitals. However, the thing that they also did not mention is, and that they at least didn't mention until about a little bit too late, make sure that you go to IMG friendly hospitals that give visas, because I'm Canadian. So I needed a visa despite the fact that I'm Canadian. I needed a visa to match into these residency hospitals, and not all hospitals, even the ones that are IMG friendly, which is just like an international medical graduate friendly, not all of those programs gave visas. So I did not recognize that none of the hospitals that I did FaceTime with or did, rotate in were visa hospitals until I had my last 2 rotations left that I had already booked, and only one of the programs there, which is the program I ended up in, only one of those programs ended up taking me. So everything happens for a reason. God, chef's kiss to you. You know what you're doing. So the things that I would change: 1, being more outgoing. 2, making sure that I was picking hospitals that were giving visas. And 3, I would have made sure that I delayed my graduation until the year that I was actually going to apply to the match. Those are the 3 things I would change. So I graduated medical school in 2019, actually. And after graduating, I took a gap year. I went back home to Canada. I worked as a telemedicine assistant or a medical assistant for a year while I studied for my step 3, and I applied to programs. Now, I'll be really honest with you, the ERAS application was very expensive. All of the money that I saved up in that year, I used to pay for that application. And my parents helped me out significantly. Shout out to you. You know yourselves. And then I applied to the match. I eagerly awaited because I only had one interview. I only had the one interview. That means there was one spot, one chance for me to make it after all of the money spent, all of the years of trials and fears. And on match day, the pandemic happened. Literally, the pandemic happened, where everything shut down in Canada. I actually remember that the Friday before match day, I was exposed to a COVID patient when we really weren't sure how serious this COVID thing was. So I had to go home and quarantine in my room. So there was no big celebration. I sat in my room, anxiously awaiting the match results, refreshing my computer email screen over and over. And then it popped up and it said, I matched. And I couldn't believe it, because by the odds, I wasn't supposed to match in my mind. That's how negative my thoughts were. But let's be real, I wasn't a terrible applicant. So I'm just grateful that I matched. And so when I matched, my mom came in, and I remember I was wearing a mask and she was wearing a mask, and we hugged and danced around in a circle. And that memory will remain a core memory for me. But yeah, so I matched. And then after matching, I matched into a family medicine program in Michigan. I finished my family medicine program in Michigan after 3 years. In that 3-year period, I took my USMLE Step 3 and I took my family medicine boards during the 3 years that I did my family medicine residency. And then I graduated and I went into private practice. So now I'm here in Rhode Island practicing. It's been amazing. I am now 8 months out, I think, into private practice, and this has been a very interesting journey. It feels almost like my intern year all over again, and I've heard that sentiment said by a lot of new attendings. So yeah, I'm grateful for the experience. But that was my journey into medicine. That's my journey into becoming an attending. If this helped you, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around. And hopefully you can tell me your journey down below if you're willing to share. Everything happens for a reason is what I take from my journey and my story. And there are a few things that maybe I wouldn't say that I would do it differently, but if I was advising someone else who was looking at my journey as to things that they should change or not emulate, these are the 3 things that I would change. But thanks for watching. Keep coming back for more content like this. If there's anything in particular about my medical school journey that you would like to hear, comment down below, ask the questions down below, and like this video if you enjoyed it, and see you next time. Bye. Medical school is expensive, so I thought I would share some of the ways that I helped to offset my costs while I was in medical school. The first thing on my list was tutoring. I actually started doing this even before medical school. I actually have a degree in math. Kids needed help with math homework, and I was pretty good at it. When I got to college and medical school, I just kept doing it. Uber. I actually drove Uber and Uber Eats. I mean, there's no job too big or too small. I did this a lot during medical school. Actually also drive Lyft, DoorDash. There's so many more of them out there now. Great as a medical student. Decide your own hours, whether it's late at night, early in the morning, midday, between classes, and you don't have to work a consistent like 1 hour now, 1 hour then. Like you can literally work for 20 minutes between rotations or whatever. So yeah, it was really cool for me. Telemedicine assistant or a medical assistant, you still get to maintain some of your medical skills and like put them into practice, but it's not as stressful for you, as you can also put this on your resume for your ERAS application. It's a dual benefit. Investing, I did not have a lot of extra income in medical school, so I was doing like $10, $20, $50 here, but a little bit does add up, and you can buy and sell stocks too. A couple things that I actually didn't do, but they were on my radar. Becoming a standardized patient, really just lay there. You can pick up shifts whenever you want, not required to like be there all the time. As a freelancer, in the age of the internet and social media being way more acceptable now, social media influencing, writing stories or editing other people's videos, you can do those from home. These are jobs that you can do that don't require you to be somewhere specific. A virtual assistant. So if you already have great secretarial skills, you're very internet savvy, this would work for you. Filling your notes. If your notes are super, organized and they can look almost like a book. And medical transcription, you can also, again, put that on your resume, just like with the telemedicine assistant or medical assistant. Research assistant. There are not that many research assistant paid jobs, but there are some out there. If you can find a good one that pays a decent amount, it might be worth your while. Hopefully this helps. If you had any questions about anything that you wanted to see, comment down below. I'm happy to share. Bye, y'all.
Original, girl, you want a replica? No. Smoothie, no regular. No.